Hello, my sister Ramesh here. Basically, we are discussing on topic city creation. Basically, we are discussing on topic that is vitamins creation. Vitamins basically we are discussing on another topic that is design creation. Design basically this is the universe basically which is given as a name as a one design, and this basically every 100 year basically the requirement comes, and then basically the in this basically one design there are basically multiple designs basically, that also you can say. So one design basically takes one design basically requirement basically comes basically from the universe group basically, and they basically say that basically it will take 100 year, sorry, every 100 year basically they comes with the requirement, and then basically the small require this basically connects to the agile methodology basically. Sprint basically this basically you can say as a sprint basically this small thing basically, and sprint basically in universe basically sprint is 100 year basically, but here basically 2 3 weeks basically are for the one sprint basically. So that is basically the project management plan basically. Sprint is there, task is there basically. So that connects to the agile methodology, and the entire universe basically is a waterfall diagram also basically you can say. In simple language basically the in universe basically the 100 year basically comes to the agile methodology. An entire universe which is getting created and which is getting maintenance basically, that comes to the waterfall diagram basically. So that's very dangerous stuff basically. So it's not easy to create one city basically. So one of the person told that who basically gets allocated, who basically comes into this 1,000 member basically, because human is required. Without human basically you can't create the city basically. So for that basically they say that basically nuclear experts are required, blood cells experts are required, creation experts are creation means construction buildings this that basically. For example, 100 one text box equal to 100 cities basically. So that basically requires expertise basically. That basically is into the Oxford group expertise basically you can say. This word basically comes from this city. For example, this city basically, one person basically asked the question basically, this city basically what is generating? So he told that basically because. So that was very dangerous question basically, and the answer see basically that was because basically. That city basically was generating because. And one of the person told that what is that city basically? That next is city near to because basically what is that generating? That is generating something basically. So like this basically the entire city are basically getting created, and when stories are basically getting generated, and that basically might be in English, Hindi, Sanskrit, Tamil, very any language, because in this world basically many languages people basically are staying basically. Many language people are basically staying in this world basically. So you can just imagine basically things basically are getting connected basically. So one of the person told that that's very dangerous thing basically which we are discussing just now basically. Then he told that yes basically 100 year is the agile methodology data, and entire universe creation basically is a waterfall diagram basically. That also you can say. So you can just imagine basically project management plan basically is not a just now basically it has came basically. It has came basically thousand lakhs of year before only basically. Management basically. Without management you can't do the creation basically. Universe creation basically is it possible without any management basically? That is not possible basically. That is not possible. So management of planets, management of universe, same way basically. Then one software company basically owner basically what he do basically? He do the management basically. He do the management of resources. He do the management of project management plans basically. He do the resource. He basically do the management of money basically. For example, one project basically which is ongoing, one project mostly basically completed. So in this basically comes into the AI technology basically. The that basically is handled by the software delivery head, as in that basically he basically have one software. He is basically having multiple managers. He one manager basically one CRM project is ongoing. He basically mostly basically completed the project, and he basically completed in less budget basically. So the remaining budget basically money basically was got the alert basically. Software delivery head got the alert that basically this basically project is almost finished basically. This person this much money basically is extra basically, so that basically money you can use it to another project basically. So he got the alert basically. That was basically the AI tool basically, you can say basically. AI tool, in this AI basically what means what basically? Artificial intelligence only basically. Artificial intelligence is equal to set of conditions basically. So this was one condition of the AI basically tool, you can say. That is the project management tool, AI tool basically. That also you can say that basically. So that basically he allocated, he basically given the transfer the money to next project basically. There basically the money was required. He basically used that money and then basically AI tool basically got generated here basically. So like this same way basically, this also basically comes into the picture basically. So 100 years plan basically. So every 100 year basically the universe group, set of group basically comes to the Earth planet. They gives the requirement to this 1,000 team members. So in this basically the main thing is basically where they basically are going to discuss, where basically each and every facility basically you will get. That is basically the King Palace basically. In King Palace basically you gets everything basically, because king is king basically, that is basically called as a king is king basically. He gets everything basically in that palace basically. So they basically in this world basically, when the universe group comes, there basically the palace basically are ready. They basically gives the requirement and then basically the requirements are basically discussed and they basically leave the world basically. And that is the 100 years requirement. This comes to agile methodology basically, according to the universe time basically. So you can just imagine basically the, they basically give the 100 years requirement, and that also basically very fast. And then basically the 100 years requirement are basically given, that basically it's not like that basically they gives the requirement like that only. It takes time to give the requirement basically. It basically takes the time to give the requirement basically. So it's not so easy basically to give the, sorry, to collect the requirement also basically. So 100 years basically is a, in 100 years basically two generation basically gets end basically. In 100 year basically second generation basically starts, not two generation ends basically, second generation basically starts. So you can just imagine basically. So this is like that basically. So this is basically, so one of the person told that it's not so easy to create the city basically. It's not easy though to create one city, and it's not more easy, that is basically the design basically. This is one design basically which we have taken basically. It's not so easy to create one design basically, because it takes 600 year basically. 600 year is a huge number basically. 600 year is a huge number. To create city basically it doesn't take the time basically. Nowadays basically the technology was very fast basically. They create the city just within 1 month basically. So that's very high tech technology basically, that also you can say basically. So high tech technology basically. So one of the person told that, see the requirement basically, Bollywood group basically. So Bollywood groups basically are directly connected with the stories and the design basically. So this design basically is stories basically, which basically explains in the many easy language basically. And they basically creates a story basically according to that story, because see, story is the only basically way basically. There basically nothing basically is, nothing mathematics is required, nothing logic is required, nothing is basically, you just need to explain the stories and then basically the, it's easy to understand. But stories are very dangerous basically. It contains very bad level story, good level story, romantic level story, this that basically each and every story basically it comes basically. So it's very dangerous basically. So it's not so easy basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about cities creation and the design basically, which is already created just now basically.